Hello everybody, this is GeneralJannis, and today in Chaos Tactics I'm looking at Death Guard vehicles and comparing them to the Dreadblades point for point. Where do you get most damage against enemy vehicles, enemy tanks, enemy things that have high toughness? A lot of our infantry, as we've seen so far, cannot really put the hurt on enemy vehicles, so we probably need some anti-tank, some of our own vehicles, or maybe to call for some help from the Dreadblades that have some interesting, nice hitting rules and high objective control as well. So with no further ado, let's take a look. So today, the 19th of June, Copenhagen is over for now. I've seen a lot of nice bands the last day, and also Guns N' Roses. And I would say probably in Warhammer there are no roses, only guns and mortars and things like that. So as I said in this video, comparing Death Guard vehicles and Wardog Dreadblades with an anti-vehicle focus. I did a lot of math in this one, but I just trying for this video to focus on anti-vehicle. You will see on the tables there is also some anti-infantry things. I had to change my calculation engine to do all this stuff as nice as possible. But I will dig more into every unit and yeah, start bringing you more thorough analysis as well. So in this video, as I said, anti-vehicle focus from our own vehicles and Dreadblades. First looking at what units I analyzed with the anti-vehicle focus, then the targets I simulated against, taking the average damage, and then the point corrected damage comparison of a lot of vehicles and a lot of configurations here. Before I start, very big thanks to my patrons, everybody in the Discord channels and YouTube supporters for your continuous supports, and everybody in the Facebook groups still now with good comments and so on. So let's get started. So when I started the main units to analyze, of course, the Plague War Crawler with Entropy Cannons and Slugger makes sense, but now it's 175 points instead of 145 points. And then we have the Myphitic Blighthauler. It's only 115 points, one of the cheaper choices in our index as vehicles are concerned. It has also nice innate ability, +1 to wounds versus vehicles, but a big drawback, as we also see on the table, the multi-melta is only strength 9 and it only has an 18-inch range. Therefore, you need to be into 9-inch range if you want to do the d6 +2 damage. And then we have the Land Raider, it's 250 points. The Soul Shatter Cannons, they add some nice anti-vehicle damage. If you also take it just to transport your Terminators with the assault ramp, then you don't pay all that, let's say the 250 to get anti-vehicle shooting, so it has a dual role here, and that could also be interesting. Then the Predator Annihilator, 130 points with the twin las cannon and the 2x las cannons as sponsor weapons. Also, they have havoc launchers and combi bolters and what have you. And also a nice innate ability, rerolling damage 1 versus vehicle and monsters. So your d6 damage will never, let's say, if you get a 1, you can reroll the damage. So on average, you will be doing a bit more damage versus vehicles and monsters. Then we have the Hellbrute, unfortunately 155 points. Looking for more anti-vehicle to take, let's say, the twin las cannon with a missile, or maybe the twin las cannon with a hammer. The hammer has some nice strength, a nice damage output. If you come close by, maybe you could hammer some enemy tanks to death. And then we have the Defiler, 205 points, also quite expensive, but you can take the twin las cannon. You have the havoc launcher maybe, and then you have the claws, and the claws are really a strong weapon for the Defiler. And then primarily looking at the Wardogs, the Brigand, 150 points. The autocannon on one hand, it's more anti-infantry weapon, and then the demon breath spear. It has d6 damage, but if you come into 12-inch range, this has 24-inch range. So when you come into 12-inch range, it's d6 +4 damage, which if some of this goes through, it can really make some damage versus enemy vehicles. And then it's hitting on a 2+. So a lot of strong at the shooting, not so much in melee. Then we have the Wardog. Let's say if I jump to the Wardog Carnivore, 460 points. It has the Reaper Chain Talon, that's more anti-infantry type of weapon, and then it has the Slaughter Claw with damage d6 +2. It has really a lot of attacks and hitting on 2s. It's 160 points, but hitting on 2s. And then the Wardog Stalker, only 135 points for this. This is quite interesting, I think, because then you could take the Demon Breath Spear from the Brigand and the Slaughter Claw from the Carnivore. You get less attacks and you're hitting on threes, but you can do both in melee and do some damage shooting and melee versus vehicles. For the Wardogs, they have additional abilities if they shoot the closest model, or if they are, let's say, shooting something below starting strength or something like this. I haven't factored that in these calculations. And then the targets I've selected to analyze against the various vehicles from Space Marines, the Rhino, Gladiator, and Repulsor that don't have invulnerable saves but high toughness. Then we have, let's say, the Imperial Knights Armiger with invulnerable save from at least in the shooting from range attacks. Also a Big Knight from the Canis Rex from the Imperial Lines. I also included a Chaos Knight Abhorrent model. Then I added also the vehicles as comparison, also as targets. The Myphitic Blighthauler with 5+ invul saves, also the Plague Scroller with a nice 2+ save and 5+ invul save, and also the monsters, let's say Daemon Prince with 2+, 4+ invuls, and Mortarion with his Feel No Pain, and yeah, like some high toughness, high good saves, and Feel No Pains also for some of the models. And the values you will see on the next table are the average damage across all these targets. Okay, so here in this big table we have the damage output point corrected per 100 points. The commas on the numbers are the decimal points, and as I said in the previous page, the values you will see when it says versus GeneralJannis vehicles and monsters are the average damage across all the targets you saw on the previous page. And you can see on the top, on the left hand column of the table, we have a lot of vehicles, more than I showed you on the slide, because I included also some anti-infantry things here. And then you see the first two columns are the 24-inch range shooting. Then you have the 12-inch range shooting. Then you have the melee damage output. And finally, if you combine the 12-inch shooting, charging, and doing melee damage, how much damage can you do? Again, point corrected per 100 points. And if we start by looking at the second row, a column of numbers, the 24-inch range shooting, interestingly enough, the Predator Annihilator has the highest damage output for its points. It's only 130 points, and it has this las cannons and the twin las cannon. We get 3.2 wounds on average per 100 points across the targets you saw on the previous table. The Distractor with two twin heavy bolters also, actually surprisingly, also came quite high there, and this is the autocannon that at 24-inch range shoots 6 shots, damage 3. So not so bad actually, but you can see it's doing more versus infantry, so I thought to include it more for the infantry rather than the vehicle damage. And then we have the Plaguebear Scroller with its entropy and the sluggers, and then we have the Wardog Brigand. The Wardog Brigand is also a bit expensive. It can do some damage, but let's say the autocannon is more an anti-infantry weapon and doesn't really do a lot versus the vehicles. Then the Land Raider is not so bad, 2.4 wounds here. And if you, as I said previously, if you put it on your list to transport some Terminators, then you get some bonus damage output as well. But you wouldn't just take the Land Raider if you don't want to use it as a transport. And then we have other, you can see further down, different configurations and less damage output at range. And then we get to the Myphitic Blighthauler. So if the Myphitic Blighthauler is a 24-inch, it basically only has one crack missile to shoot, so not really impressive. So if we cheat and we put the Myphitic Blighthauler at 18 inches, then it will be doing 2.3 wounds per 100 points here versus the vehicles. So maybe it's not as strong as the Plaguebear Scroller or the Brigand here. And then again, if the enemy is far away, 18 inches is not super helpful for the Myphitic Blighthauler. As we move into 12-inch range, then you can see I highlighted some of the cells with green to show you the high damage dealers here. Then we see the Wardog Brigand coming to life with the damage d6 plus 4 spear instead of just damage d6. And you see also the Stalker with the same spear, but not hitting on 2s, but still quite high damage. We still see the Predator Annihilator doing well at this range. The Plague Scroller doesn't matter if it's 12-inch or 24-inch. Of course, the Plague Scroller can stay back and also use its mortar on some targets, and maybe forcing infantry to take battle shocks. And the Myphitic Blighthauler, 2.3 damage at 12-inch range. It needs to come into 9-inch range to do the d6 plus 2 damage. And then you see then it becomes, it also, at 9-inch range, the Myphitic Blighthauler is good for its points. But again, you need to come very close to be efficient versus these enemy vehicles. If we move into melee, then the Carnivore wakes up, and you see 5.7 damage per 100 points across the vehicles and monster targets. And then also basically here we have the Slaughter Claw doing the damage. Also the Stalker can do something in melee, 4.5 wounds. It also has the Slaughter Claw but less attacks. And then we have the Hellbrute with a hammer, can also do something, and also the Defiler with its claw can do stuff. And then we see here the Brigand or Plague Scrollers or things like that. They are not meant to deal a lot of damage. You can also see a Foetid Blaotdrone with a mower, not super efficient versus vehicles and monsters. If you combine the total short range and shooting and melee, then we see actually the biggest damage is the Wardog Stalker, because it combines quite high damage at short range and melee. And then we follow by the Carnivore, and then the Defiler, and having the highest combined damage output. But if you want to stay in range, then you can see the Predator seems interesting, Brigand, Plague Scroller, the usual suspects here. So reaching to the summary and final thoughts, if you really want to bring the most damage for your buck or for your points versus enemy vehicles, high toughness targets, if you want to stick at long range, the Predator Annihilator with the last cannon configuration, or the Plague Scroller and the Brigand can do the most for the points. At shorter range, the Brigand and Stalker with her spear, dealing d6 plus 4 damage per shot, are the interesting choices. The Myphitic Blighthauler can also be good, but you have to be at 9 inches. And then if you move into melee, then you have the Carnivore or the Stalker with a Slaughter Claw, the Hellbrute or Defiler. Defiler is more of a get in close and personal, but its claw is quite strong here. And of course, don't miss up on the Land Raider if you want to take it to transport a big squad of Terminators up the board. It also has, with the Soul Shatter cannons, it can also do some damage to vehicles. The Wardogs are quite fast. They can get into firing positions, and they can also do melee. But in melee they don't spread our contagions. But they have a high objective control 8. Most of our vehicles are 3 or 5. So if you want to come close, shoot something and take some objective, then the Wardogs, the Dreadblades we can take, have also some additional benefits. And the Predators, as I said, for the points are quite strong. In this edition, there weren't anything special in the previous edition. So this concludes the video. Of course, there is a lot of more synergies and a lot of things that I could calculate, but I just wanted to bring this first table to you guys to help you theory crafting and army list building. I haven't started army list building in my head. I'm trying to do the calculations. I think I will follow up on the Plague Marines now with Virion and characters to see what is best there. But I hope and I will come back to the vehicles and do specials on the Plague Scroller, for example, and what can you do there, or more on the Dreadblades. So I hope you like this video. Let me know in your comments what you think and what is your favorite vehicles or anti-vehicle platforms to use. If you want to support my efforts, please visit my Patreon page, become a YouTube member, or also join the Discord channel and we can have more discussions there. So with these words, GeneralJannis signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye bye.